Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Ivan Jue. I teach international business at Cerritos College. Today, we are going to discuss one of the most important topics in international business culture. When companies expand globally, success is not determined only by price, technology, or marketing. Often, success depends on how well a business understands and adapts to the culture of the country where it operates. Culture affects communication, negotiation styles, management practices, consumer behavior, and even how employees work together. Understanding culture helps businesses avoid costly mistakes and build stronger international relationships. By the end of today's lecture, you should be able to explain the characteristics of culture, describe the major elements of culture, compare different cultural frameworks, and understand how cultural conflicts arise in international business. So, what is culture? Culture is described as the collection of values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, and attitudes that distinguish one society from another. In simple terms, culture is the way a group of people lives and thinks. It influences how people communicate, make decisions, work, buy products, and interact with others. Different countries and societies have different cultures, which is very important in international business. The four characteristics of culture are number one, learned behavior. Culture is not inherited biologically. People learn it from family, schools, religion, friends, media, and society. As an example, children learn language, manners, traditions, and social expectations from the people around them. A business person moving to another country must learn local customs to communicate effectively. Number two, interrelated. The parts of culture are connected to each other. This means religion affects values, values affect behavior, behavior affects business practices, and communication styles affect relationships. As an example, in some cultures, respect for authority influences workplace hierarchy, negotiation style, and management structure. Changing one part of culture often affects other parts too. Number three, adaptive. Culture changes over time and adapts to technology, economic conditions, globalization, political changes, and social trends. As an example, many societies adapted to remote work, online shopping, and digital communication after COVID-19. Culture is not fixed, it evolves as society changes. And number four, shared. Culture is shared by members of a group or society. People in the same culture often share traditions, symbols, language, norms, and expectations. As an example, national holidays, food traditions, or greetings are shared cultural practices. Shared culture helps people understand how to behave within their society. So, why does this matter in international business? Understanding culture helps companies market products effectively, avoid misunderstandings, communicate with global customers, manage international employees, and build stronger relationships. So the major elements of culture include social structure, language, communication, religion, and values and attitudes. These elements shape how businesses operate internationally. The idea is that culture is not just one thing. It is made up of several connected components that influence how people think, behave, communicate, and do business. At the center of this is culture. The middle circle represents culture as a whole. the shared beliefs, behaviors, customs, and ways of life of a group of people or society. The surrounding circles show the key elements that shape culture. The first one is language. Language is the foundation of communication and understanding. This includes spoken and written language. This shapes how people express ideas and emotions. It also influences marketing, branding, negotiations, and relationships. Here's a business example. A company entering Japan may need to adapt advertisements and product packaging into Japanese to avoid misunderstandings. Number 2, communication. Communication refers to how people share information verbally and non-verbally. This includes body language, tone of voice, eye contact, personal space, and direct versus indirect communication styles. As an example, Americans often communicate directly. Many Asian cultures communicate more indirectly or preserve harmony. Misunderstanding communication styles can create problems in international business. Number 3, religion. Religion influences values, ethics, holidays, food preferences, consumer behavior, and work schedules. As an example, McDonald's adapts menus in India because many people avoid beef for religious reasons. Businesses in Muslim countries may adjust operations during Ramadan. Number 4, values and attitudes. Values are what a society believes is important. Attitudes are people's feelings and perspectives about things. These affect work ethic, risk-taking, time management, customer expectations, and leadership styles. As an example, cultures value individual success, others value teamwork and community harmony. Number 5, social structure. Social structure refers to how society is organized. This includes family roles, social classes, education systems, gender roles, and authority relationships. As an example, in some cultures, hierarchy and seniority are highly respected, while in others, employees expect equality and open discussion. Social structure shapes culture and affects the way people interact in society and business. Social structure refers to how a society organizes relationships among individuals, families, groups, and social classes. So number 1, individuals, families, and groups. This section focuses on how people see themselves in relation to others. Defining family. Different cultures define family differently. In some cultures, family means only parents and children, or the nuclear family. In others, it includes grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, and even close family friends, or the extended family. This affects hiring decisions, living arrangements, business networking, and consumer behavior. As an example, in many Asian and Latin American cultures, family connections strongly influence business relationships. The individual's role within groups. Cultures vary in how much importance they place on the individual versus the group. Individualistic cultures like the US value personal achievement, independence, and individual goals. Collectivist cultures like Japan or China value group harmony, team success, and loyalty to family or company and community. The importance of the individual relative to the group. This influences workplace behavior. In collectivist cultures, employees may avoid disagreeing publicly. Decisions are often made by consensus. Team rewards may be preferred, while in individualistic cultures, employees may compete openly, individual performance is emphasized, and personal initiative is rewarded. Number 2, Social stratification. Social stratification means how society ranks people into social classes or levels. The attributes of stratification may be based on wealth, education, occupation, family background, and caste or social status. So, with highly stratified societies, these societies have large gaps between social classes. The characteristics of this include limited equality, strong class distinctions, but harder for people to move upward. As an example, traditional caste systems or societies with rigid elite classes may result in a business impact of luxury goods that may target upper classes only, or access to education and jobs that may differ greatly. In less stratified societies, these societies have more equality and smaller class gaps. Characteristics include greater access to opportunities, more equal treatment, and broader middle class. As an example, countries with strong social welfare systems often have less stratification. The business impact here is that larger middle class consumer markets, and this would result in more equal workplace expectations. Number 3, social mobility. Social mobility refers to how easily people can move between social classes. Under low social mobility, people are likely to remain in the social class they were born into. The effects of this would be limited opportunities, strong class barriers, slower economic advancement. In socially mobile societies, people can improve their social status through education, career success, and entrepreneurship. The effects of this would be greater motivation, more innovation, and stronger belief in opportunity. For example, the American dream is based on the idea of social mobility. So why does this matter in the international business? Companies operate globally must understand social structure because it affects leadership styles, employee motivation, marketing strategies, consumer behavior, negotiation practices, and hiring and promotion systems. As an example, a management style that works in the US may fail in a collectivist culture where teamwork and hierarchy are more important. Language is one of the most important elements of culture in international business and society. Language is more than just communication. It influences how people think, behave, and interact. Here's a breakdown of each point. Number 1, it delineates cultural groups. Language helps identify and separate different cultural communities. People who speak the same language often share traditions, history, and values. Language creates a sense of identity and belonging. As an example, Spanish-speaking countries may share some cultural similarities. In Canada, English and French language groups reflect different cultural identities. The business impact here is that companies must understand language differences to market effectively and avoid misunderstandings. Number 2, it shapes one's perceptions of the world. Language influences how people think and interpret reality. Different languages emphasize different ideas and concepts. The words available in a language can affect how people understand emotions, time, relationships, and business practices. As an example, some cultures use very direct communication, while others use indirect language to maintain harmony and respect. The business impact is that managers must adapt communication styles when working internationally. Number 3, it filters observations and perceptions. People interpret information through the lens of their language and culture. Language affects what people notice and how they react. Two people from different cultures may view the same situation differently. Here's an example. Silence in one culture may mean respect. In another culture, silence may seem uncomfortable or even rude. So the business impact here is that miscommunication can occur if companies do not understand cultural context. Number 4, it provides important clues about cultural values. Language reveals what a society values. Certain words, greetings, and expressions reflect priorities and beliefs. As an example, formal titles in Japan show respect for hierarchy. American English often emphasizes individuality and informality. The impact here is that understanding language helps companies build stronger relationships with customers and partners. And number 5, it offers indications about diversity of a country's population. The number of languages spoken in a country can show how culturally diverse it is. Multilingual countries often contain many ethnic or regional groups. As an example, India has hundreds of languages and dialects. Switzerland has 4 official languages. So firms may need different marketing strategies for different language groups within the same country. So language affects international business and culture. Why is that? Language is more than just communication. It can influence trade, marketing, relationships, and competitive advantage. How is language used as a competitive weapon? Language can help businesses gain power and influence in global markets. With linguistical ties, countries that share a language often trade and cooperate more easily because communication is smoother and trust develops faster. As an example, the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia all use English, making business relationships easier. The linguistic legacy of colonialism. Former colonies often still use the language of their colonizers in government and business. As an example, English in India, French in many African countries, and Spanish in Latin America. This creates long-term business connections and affects which countries companies choose to enter. So what is the predominant common language, or lingua franca? A lingua franca is a common language used between people who speak different native languages. As an example, English is the global business lingua franca today. It is widely used in international meetings, aviation, technology, science, and global marketing. Why does it matter? Companies that use the dominant business language can communicate faster, reduce misunderstandings, and expand internationally more easily. Translation. Businesses must carefully translate advertisements, contracts, instructions, and websites. The important concept behind this is that back translation is a document that is translated into another language. This is where a second translator translates it back to the original language. This helps identify mistakes or changes in meaning. Common word problems. Some words or slogans do not translate correctly across cultures. As an example, brand names may sound offensive in another language. Idioms and jokes may lose meaning internationally. Poor translation can damage a company's reputation or sales. And then words may have different meanings. Different cultures communicate differently, even when using the same language. An example of this is saying no. In some cultures, people say no directly. In others, people avoid direct refusal to remain polite. So as an example, in Japan, a person may say, "That may be difficult," instead of directly saying the word no. The business impact of this is that managers must understand indirect communication, tone, cultural context. Otherwise, they may misunderstand negotiations or agreements. Nonverbal communication is an important element of culture in international business. The main idea is that people communicate not only through words, but also through behaviors, gestures, appearance, and body language. And these signals can mean very different things across cultures. In global business, misunderstanding nonverbal communication can create confusion, offend others, or damage relationships even when the spoken language is correct. So on the left side of the slide are types of nonverbal communication. Facial expressions. Expressions such as smiling, frowning, or nodding communicate emotions and reactions. In some cultures, smiling shows friendliness. In others, too much smiling may seem insincere or unprofessional. As an example, Americans often smile during business interactions. Some East Asian cultures may use more restrained expressions. Hand gestures. Gestures can have completely different meaning in different countries. As an example, a thumbs up is positive in the United States, but that same gesture may be offensive in some Middle Eastern cultures. This is why international managers must be careful using gestures abroad. Intonation. How something is said matters, not just the words. This includes the tone of voice, volume, speed, and emphasis. An example of this would be loud speaking that may show enthusiasm in one culture, but in another culture, it may seem very aggressive or even rude. Eye contact. Cultures differ greatly in expectations around eye contact. In the United States, direct eye contact often shows confidence and honesty. In some other Asian cultures, prolonged eye contact with authority figures may seem disrespectful. Body positioning. Physical distance between people also communicates meaning. Latin American and Middle Eastern cultures may stand closer during conversations, while Northern Europeans and Americans often prefer more personal space. Body posture. Posture can communicate respect, confidence, formality, and interest. Slouching in a meeting may appear disrespectful in formal business cultures. Okay, so now on the right side, forms of nonverbal communication. So this would show and expand on the many ways culture affects communication. Appearance and dress. Clothing communicates professionalism and social expectations. Conservative suits may be expected in Japan, while more casual dress may be acceptable in tech companies in Silicon Valley. Greetings. Different cultures handle greetings differently. Handshakes, bows, hugs, and kisses on the cheek. Bowing is common in Japan. Handshakes are common in the United States. Cheek kisses are common in parts of Europe and Latin America. Physical contact. Cultures differ in acceptable touching. As an example, patting someone on the back may feel friendly in one culture, but it may feel inappropriate in another. Time orientation. So, let's say, for example, if you had asked someone to arrive promptly, arrive early, or arrive late. This actually relates to cultural attitudes towards time. So, example, Germany and Japan strongly value punctuality. Other cultures are more flexible about schedules. Waiting in line. Even queue behavior differs culturally. In some societies, strictly following lines in order, while others may use a more flexible system of that. Walking and group behavior. The way people walk or position themselves in groups can reflect hierarchy, collectivism, leadership structure. In some examples, leaders walk in front. In others, groups move more equally. Communication and culture goes beyond just words and language too. In international business, people also communicate through gift giving, hospitality, etiquette, and how they handle sensitive situations. Gift giving and hospitality. In many cultures, giving gifts and showing hospitality are important ways to build trust and relationships. A business gift can symbolize respect, appreciation, friendship, and long-term partnership. Hospitality, such as inviting someone to dinner or hosting visitors, is also part of relationship building in global business. In countries like Japan or China, Business relationships often begin with formal hospitality and gift exchanges. In the United States, gift giving is usually less formal and sometimes restricted by company policies. Different gift giving etiquettes. Every culture has different rules about what gifts are appropriate, how expensive gifts should be, when gifts should be opened, and how gifts are presented. In Japan, gifts are often wrapped carefully and may not be opened immediately. In China, certain numbers or colors may have symbolic meanings. In some Middle Eastern cultures, gifts should only be given with the right hand. In the United States, expensive gifts may be viewed as bribery. A mistake in gift etiquette can unintentionally offend business partners. Hospitality customs also differ. Business meals, greetings, and hosting traditions vary across cultures. Some cultures expect long dinners before discussing business. Others prefer to get straight to business. In some countries, refusing food or hospitality may seem rude. Tipping customs differ widely around the world. Understanding these customs helps companies avoid misunderstandings and build stronger international relationships. And then there's communicating bad news. Cultures differ in how directly people communicate difficult information. In direct cultures such as the United States or Germany, these cultures value honesty and straightforward communication. Bad news is often delivered clearly and quickly. In indirect cultures such as Japan or many Asian cultures, the idea is to try to preserve harmony and avoid embarrassment. Bad news may be communicated more subtly or diplomatically. As an example, an American manager may say, "This project failed." A Japanese manager may say, "There may be some challenges with the project." Religion and business. Religion strongly influences work habits, consumer behavior, legal systems, and social norms. Many world religions include Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Religion is more than personal belief. It shapes values, behaviors, laws, and consumer habits in many countries. It shapes attitudes of adherence. Religion influences how people think about work ethic, honesty, family roles, time and responsibility, money, and success. For example, some religions emphasize hard work and discipline, while others place greater value on community and family relationships. These attitudes affect employee behavior, leadership styles, and workplace expectations. It constrains the roles of individuals in society. Religious beliefs can define gender roles, family expectations, social responsibilities, and acceptable behavior. In some countries, religion affects women's participation in business. Dress codes or workplace interactions may be influenced by religious customs. International companies must understand and respect these social expectations. Religion affects consumer buying behavior. Religion strongly influences what consumers buy and avoid. As an example, Muslims avoid pork and require halal products. Hindus generally avoid beef. Some religions discourage alcohol consumption. Religious values may affect clothing, entertainment, or financial products. Businesses must adapt products and marketing strategies to local religious preferences. Religion affects seasonal patterns of consumption. Religious holidays create major buying seasons and changes in demand. Christmas increases retail sales in many Christian countries. Ramadan changes shopping and eating patterns in Muslim countries. Chinese New Year boosts travel and gift spending in Asia. Diwali increases consumer spending in India. Global businesses often adjust advertising, inventory, staffing, and promotions around these religious events. The impact on international business. Legal system. Religion may influence a country's laws. Islamic law, or Sharia, affects banking and finance in some countries. Restrictions on alcohol or gambling may exist. Labor laws or holiday schedules may reflect religious practices. Companies must comply with local religiously influenced regulations. Homogeneity of religious beliefs. This refers to how similar people's religious beliefs are within a country. High homogeneity. Most people share the same religion. Low homogeneity. Many religions coexist. This affects marketing strategies, product standardization, workplace diversity management. A homogeneous market may be easier to target with one message, while diverse societies require more customization. Tolerance. Religious tolerance affects workplace inclusion, advertising acceptance, international partnerships, employee relations. Businesses operating globally must avoid offending religious groups and promoting cultural sensitivity. This includes the work hours, holidays, food preferences, dress codes, and advertising. McDonald's adapts menus for Muslim countries by serving halal food. Businesses in India may avoid beef products because of Hindu beliefs. Culture shapes people's values and attitudes in society and business. Different cultures place different levels of importance on these four areas. Time. Cultures view time differently. Some cultures are strict and punctual, such as Germany, Japan, and the United States. Others are more flexible with schedules and deadlines. This would include many Latin American or Middle Eastern cultures. Different attitudes towards time can affect meetings, negotiations, project deadlines, and customer service expectations. An American manager may expect meetings to start exactly on time, while another culture may view schedules more casually. Number 2, age. Cultures differ in how they treat older and younger people. Some cultures highly respect elders and seniority. Others value youth, innovation, and new ideas more strongly. This affects leadership styles, promotions, communication, and workplace hierarchy. In many Asian cultures, older employees often receive greater respect and authority. Number 3, education. Education is valued differently across societies. Some cultures strongly emphasize formal education, degrees, and academic achievement. Others may place more value on practical experience or skills. Education levels influence workplace quality, training needs, and hiring practices. Companies entering a foreign market may need different training programs depending on local education systems. And number 4, status. Cultures define social status in different ways. Status may come from wealth, job title, family background, education, age, or achievements. The status affects workplace relationships, decision-making, and marketing strategies. Luxury brands often succeed in cultures where status symbols are highly valued. This explains Edward T. Hall's idea of low context versus high context cultures, which describes how people communicate and understand meaning in different societies. The main idea here is that different cultures communicate in different ways. Low context cultures rely mostly on clear, spoken, or written words. High context cultures may rely more on context, relationships, body language, tone, and unspoken understanding. The title, Seeing the Forest, Not the Trees, means some cultures focus mainly on explicit details, the trees, while others focus on overall situation and relationships, the forest. Low context cultures. Examples here include German, Swiss, British, and Australian. People in these cultures tend to communicate directly, clearly, explicitly, and with detailed instructions. The words themselves carry most of the meaning. In business, people usually say exactly what they mean, prefer written contracts and documentation, value efficiency and clarity, expect straightforward feedback. A British manager may say, "Please finish this report by Friday at 3 p.m." The instruction here is very direct and specific. High context cultures. Examples here include Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Greek, and Spanish. In this case, people communicate indirectly through implication using nonverbal cues based on relationships and social harmony. The meaning comes from tone, silence, facial expressions, status, shared understanding, and relationship history. In business, people often avoid open disagreement, use subtle language, build trust before doing business, and expect others to read the situation. A Japanese manager may say, "This proposal may be difficult." What it actually means is, "We strongly disagree." The listener is expected to understand the hidden meaning. Cultural clusters. Countries with similar cultures may be grouped into cultural clusters. The examples are Anglo cluster, Latin American cluster, Nordic cluster, Middle Eastern cluster. Businesses often expand first into culturally similar countries because adaptation is easier. The main idea here is that countries with similar histories, languages, religions, values, and social norms tend to form cultural clusters. Instead of studying every country individually, in this case again the trees, managers can study groups of culturally similar countries, the forest. The map groups countries into regional cultural clusters to help businesses understand how consumers behave, how employees communicate, how managers lead, and how negotiations and marketing differ across regions. This helps multinational companies adapt strategies when entering foreign markets. So here are some key cultural clusters on the map. Anglo cluster. This would be the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. Characteristics are individualism, direct communication, low power distance, strong focus on achievement, and personal success. The business implication is that managers often encourage independence, innovation, open discussion, and performance-based rewards. For Latin Europe, examples would include France, Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Characteristics are relationship-oriented, more emotional communication, strong family social ties, moderate hierarchy. Business implications are business relationships and trust are extremely important before deals are finalized. In Germanic Europe, examples would be Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Characteristics are precision, efficiency, planning, and structure. Business implications are meetings are formal, punctuality matters, and detailed preparation is expected. For Nordic Europe, examples would be Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland. Characteristics are equality, consensus decision-making, low hierarchy, high social trust. The business implications are that leadership tends to be more collaborative rather than authoritarian. Confucian Asia. This would be China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Taiwan. Characteristics include respect for hierarchy, long-term orientation, group harmony, and relationship building, Gongxi in China. Business implications. Companies must emphasize respect, patience, long-term partnerships, and indirect communication. For Southern Asia, examples would include India, Thailand, Indonesia, and Philippines. The characteristics would be collectivism, respect for authority, relationship-focused culture. Business implications of this would be personal trust and flexibility are often important in negotiations. And then for Eastern Europe, this would be Russia, Poland, and Hungary as examples. This would be more centralized authority, strong hierarchy, and relationship networks matter. For Latin America, examples would be Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina. Here, the relationship-based business culture matters. It has high context communication and importance for personal connections. Middle East, examples include Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Egypt. Characteristics would be strong traditions in religion, high power distance, and relationship-oriented business practices. In sub-Saharan Africa, this would include Nigeria, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. Characteristics would be community orientation, relationship-based trust, and diverse cultural traditions. So what are these two strategies of the cultural cluster approach? Internationalization strategies. This means companies use cultural clusters to decide which regions to expand into, how quickly to globalize, and which markets are culturally easier to enter first. Why does it matter? A company often expands first into countries that are culturally similar because of lower risk, easier communication, easier marketing, adaptation, and more predictable customer behavior. A US company may enter Canada, United Kingdom, and Australia before entering China, Saudi Arabia, and Japan because the first group shares more cultural similarities with the United States. Foreign market entry methods. In this case, culture affects how a company enters a foreign market. Different cultures may require different entry methods. Exporting, licensing, franchising, joint ventures, strategic alliances, and wholly owned subsidiaries. In cultures where relationships and trust are very important, such as China and Japan, firms may prefer joint ventures or local partnerships. In culturally similar countries, companies may directly invest or franchise more aggressively. An advertising campaign successful in the United States may fail in Japan. A direct negotiation style valued in Germany may seem rude in parts of Asia. Leadership styles effective in Sweden may not work well in Saudi Arabia. So, for example, if Starbucks enters Japan, they should focus on harmony, premium experience, group seating. In Italy, they would adapt to local coffee traditions. In Saudi Arabia, respect cultural and religious expectations. In Sweden, emphasize sustainability and equality. This shows Hofstede's 6 cultural dimensions. Gerhard Hofstede identified 6 dimensions that help compare cultures. Individualism versus collectivism. Individualistic cultures. People focus on personal goals. Examples include United States and Canada. Collectivist cultures. People prioritize the group. Examples include Japan and China. Power orientation. This measures acceptance of hierarchy. Power respect cultures. People accept authority and hierarchy. Power tolerant cultures. People are comfortable questioning authority. Number 3, uncertainty orientation. This measures comfort with ambiguity. The uncertainty avoidance. People prefer rules and structure. The uncertainty acceptance. People tolerate change and ambiguity. Number 4, goal orientation, aggressive goal behavior. This focuses on competition, achievement, and material success. Passive goal behavior focuses on quality of life, relationships, and cooperation. Number 5, time orientation, short-term orientation. This focuses on immediate results and traditions. Long-term orientation. This focuses on future rewards and persistence. Number 6, indulgence versus restraint. Indulgent cultures value leisure and enjoyment. Restrained cultures value self-control and social norms. We'll go through this in detail in the upcoming slides. Here we have a very important cultural dimension in international business. Individualism versus collectivism, also called social orientation. The main idea here is that different cultures answer this question differently. Should people prioritize themselves or the group? Individualistic cultures focus on personal goals and independence. Collectivist cultures focus on group harmony, loyalty, and shared responsibility. In individualistic societies, the individual person is most important. Key characteristics are I is the focus. People make decisions based on personal success, personal happiness, individual goals. An example would be, what is best for me? Countries often associated with higher individualism are United States, Canada, and Australia. Individuals are responsible for themselves. People are expected to solve their own problems, be self-reliant, achieve success through their own effort. Success is viewed as, I earned this because of my hard work. Loyalty is personal. People tend to prioritize career goals, immediate family, and personal achievement. They may switch companies more easily if a better opportunity exists. Self-sufficiency after setbacks. If someone fails or struggles, the expectation is recover independently and become self-sufficient again. In collective societies, the group is most important. Key characteristics of this would be we are the focus. People make decisions based on family needs, team harmony, organizational benefit, community expectations. An example of this is the question, what is best for the group? Countries often associated with higher collectivism, China, Japan, and South Korea. The group supports members. The organization, family, or community is expected to help individuals, provide protection, and support members during difficulties. Success is viewed as, I succeeded because my team and group helped me. It also allows for strong loyalty to the organization. Employees often feel deep loyalty to their company, family, social group, and long-term relationships and harmony are highly valued. There is also group assistance during setbacks. When problems occur, the group continues supporting the individual. Cooperation is emphasized over independence. So what is power orientation, or otherwise known as power distance? This describes how different cultures view authority, hierarchy, and inequality. The table compares two extremes, power tolerance, or low power distance cultures, and power respect, which is the high power distance cultures. The question here is, how comfortable are people under an equal distribution of power? Some cultures believe power should be shared and questioned. Others believe authority and hierarchy should be respected. So on the left side, power tolerance, these cultures value equality, participation, and independence. The key characteristics here are children are taught to think for themselves. Independence is encouraged. The kids ask questions and express opinions. As an example, in the United States or Scandinavia, children are often encouraged to debate and make choices. Teachers are guides. Teachers facilitate discussion. Students may challenge ideas openly. Classrooms are interactive versus lecture only. Managers consult employees. Employees participate in decisions. Communication is more informal. In this case, workers may call the CEO by their first name. Everyone is believed to have equal rights. Equality is highly valued. Social status matters less. Hierarchies are considered a necessary evil in this case. Organizations still need structure, but excessive authority is disliked. Finally, inequality should be minimalized. Large gaps in wealth or power are viewed negatively. Now on the right side, power respect. These cultures value authority, order, rank, and respect for hierarchy. The key characteristics are children are taught to obey. Respect for elders and authorities emphasized. Teachers are viewed as experts. The teachers are highly respected. Students usually do not challenge them publicly. Managers give directions. Decisions come from the top. Employees are expected to follow instructions. Rights are tied to rank. Higher status brings more privileges. Titles and positions matter. hierarchies are desirable. People accept clear social order. Everyone understands their role. And finally, number 6, inequality can be acceptable. Differences in status may symbolize success or superiority. Understanding power orientation helps companies manage leadership styles, employee expectations, communication methods, negotiation behavior, and organizational structure. In a low-power business culture, great examples are Denmark, Sweden, and United States. The management style includes open-door policies, team discussions, and employees challenging ideas. In a high-powered business culture, such as China, Japan, and India, the management style includes formal titles, clear authority levels, and respect for senior leadership. Uncertainty orientation. What is this concept? This is also known as uncertainty avoidance. It compares two extremes: uncertainty acceptance, or cultures comfortable with ambiguity and change, and uncertainty avoidance, cultures that prefer predictability, rules, and stability. The main idea here is that different cultures react differently to uncertainty, risk, and ambiguity. Some societies see uncertainty as exciting, innovative, and full of opportunity. However, others see uncertainty as dangerous, stressful, and something that should be controlled. On the left side are uncertainty acceptance examples. These cultures are more comfortable with change and ambiguity. In this case, uncertainty creates opportunities. People are willing to try new ideas, startups, or business models. As an example, entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley experimenting with new technology. It also shows weak hierarchies and bureaucracies. Organizations are less formal and less rule-driven. Employees may challenge managers, communicate casually, and work independently. People change jobs more easily. Changing careers is viewed positively. Someone leaving a stable job to join a startup is a great example. Decentralized decision-making. Employees at many levels may make decisions. Benefits include flexibility, faster innovation, and adaptability. Employees encouraged to think independently. Creativity and innovation are valued. Managers may say, try something new. Social norms are flexible. Unusual behavior is more accepted. People tolerate different lifestyles, unconventional thinking, and experimentation. Now on the right side, these are examples of uncertainty avoidance. These cultures prefer stability, structure, and predictability. Key characteristics here are uncertainty creates threats and challenges. People try to minimize risk and avoid unknown situations. As an example, businesses carefully analyzing every risk before expanding. Strong hierarchies and bureaucracies. Organizations rely heavily on rules, procedures, and authority structures. Employees expect clear instructions. Changing jobs would be considered risky. Job security is highly valued. People may stay in one company for many years. Centralized decision making. Top management makes most decisions. Purpose here is for consistency, control, and uniformity. Employees are expected to follow instructions. Innovation may be less important than compliance. Workers often avoid questioning authority. And finally, social norms are strict. Rules and traditions are strongly followed. Behavior outside accepted norms may be discouraged. So what is goal orientation in different cultures and societies? This refers to how people define success, work, competition, and quality of life. The chart compares two extremes: passive goal behavior and aggressive goal behavior. Most cultures fall somewhere in between these two extremes. Goal orientation shapes workplace behavior, leadership styles, employee motivation, stress levels, and definitions of success. On the left side of the slide, passive goal behavior examples. These cultures or individuals prioritize balance, relationships, and quality of life. In this case, quality of life is more important than material rewards. People value happiness, health, family, free time more than money or success. An example of this would be choosing a lower paying job with better work-life balance. Work life and family life are integrated. Work and personal life are blended together. For example, flexible schedules, family first mindset, socializing with coworkers. Here there's a desire for low level of work-related stress. Stress is viewed negatively. People prefer stability, manageable workloads, and less pressure. Cooperation is more important than competition. Teamwork matters more than winning. The focus here is on harmony, collaboration, and group success. Here, success equals a well-lived life. Success is measured by personal happiness, meaningful relationships, balance, and not just wealth. Now, on the right side, we see examples of aggressive goal behavior. These cultures or individuals prioritize achievement, competition, and material success. Examples here would include material rewards are more important than quality of life. Money, promotions, and status are major motivators. An example would be working long hours for a career advancement. Work life and family life are separate and distinct. Work is treated as highly professional and independent from personal life. Examples would be strict boundaries, long office hours, and career-first mentality. Work-related stress is expected and even respected. Stress may be seen as proof of ambition, dedication, hard work. The phrase badge of honor means people may proudly talk about how busy or stressed they are. Competition is more important than cooperation. Performance rankings and individual achievement are emphasized. Examples include sales contests, employee rankings, and strong performance pressure. Success would equal, he who dies with the most toys wins. This phrase means success is defined by wealth, possessions, and achievements. Examples would include luxury items, high income, power, and career status. The important part of this is that understanding goal orientation helps multinational companies motivate employees correctly and avoid cultural misunderstandings, design compensation systems, and manage international teams. As an example, employees in aggressive goal cultures may respond well to bonuses and competition. Employees in passive goal cultures may prefer flexibility and teamwork. So let's talk about the cultural dimension of time orientation, whether a culture focuses more on short-term results or long-term planning on persistence. Different cultures think about success, decision-making, money, tradition, and in the future in very different ways. Short-term orientation. Cultures with a short-term orientation focus on immediate results, quick success, and maintaining traditions. In this case, tradition is important. People value customs and established ways of doing things. Truth is absolute. Right and wrong are viewed more rigidly. Luck affects success and failure. Outcomes may be seen as influenced by fate or luck. Saving for the future is less important. More emphasis on present consumption or short-term rewards. Decisions are focused more on immediate financial success. Businesses prioritize quarterly profits and fast returns. Here are some business examples. Companies may want fast ROI or return on investment. Managers may prioritize this year's profits over future growth. Consumers may spend more rather than save. Countries more associated with this are United States, Pakistan, Philippines. Long-term orientation. These are cultures with a long-term orientation focused on future rewards, perseverance, patience, and sustainable growth. Characteristics of this would include pragmatism dominating tradition. People adapt traditions when needed. Truth is situational and contextual. Flexibility and circumstances matter. Effort affects success. Hard work and persistence are believed to create success. Thrift and perseverance are virtues. Saving money and working steadily are respected. In this case, decisions focus on growth and long-term financial success. Investments are made for future benefits. Some business examples: companies invest heavily in R&D and employee development. Leaders may accept short-term losses for long-term market share. Consumers may save and invest more. Countries often associated with this are China, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. So why is this important? Understanding time orientation helps companies market products effectively, negotiate internationally, manage employees, and plan business strategy. As an example, a U.S. company may want fast profits in a joint venture, while a Japanese company may prioritize building trust and long-term relationships first. This difference can create misunderstandings unless both sides understand each other's cultural perspective. So let's go through the cultural dimension called indulgence versus restraint, which comes from the cultural research done by Gert Hofstede and others. It describes how different societies view enjoyment, pleasure, self-control, and social norms. The dimension asks, should people freely enjoy life and personal happiness, which would be indulgence, or should people control desires and follow stricter social rules, which would be restraint? Indulgence culture. People in indulgent cultures believe life should be enjoyed. Characteristics would be: enjoy life, have fun. Happiness and enjoyment are important goals. Optimism prevails. People tend to have a positive outlook. Leisure time is highly valued. Vacations, hobbies, and free time matter. If it feels good, do it. Personal freedom and gratification are accepted. Weak allegiance to social norms. Individuals feel freer to express themselves. Examples often associated with indulgent cultures: United States, Mexico, Australia, and Brazil. The workplace impact would be flexible work environments, focus on work-life balance, informal communication, and employee happiness emphasized. In a restraint culture, people tend to believe desires should be controlled. Characteristics here include self-control is important, discipline and moderation are respected. Cynicism prevails. People may be more cautious or skeptical. Leisure time is unimportant. Work and duty come before pleasure. Instant gratification is looked down upon. Delayed rewards and sacrifice are valued. Strong allegiance to social norms. Society expects people to behave appropriately. Examples often associated with restraint cultures: China, Russia, Pakistan, and Egypt. Workplace impact: more formal business culture, stronger rules and hierarchy, greater emphasis on discipline. Employees may avoid standing out individually. So why does this matter? For international business, understanding this dimension helps companies design marketing campaigns, manage international teams, create employee incentives, and understand consumer behavior. So what is self-reference criterion and acculturation? The self-reference criterion, or SRC, means people naturally judge other cultures based on their own culture and experiences. We often assume the way we do things is normal. Other people should think and behave like us. This can create misunderstandings in international business. An American manager may expect employees to speak openly in meetings. However, in some Asian cultures, employees may avoid publicly disagreeing with a manager because of respect for authority is important. If the manager judges this behavior using only their own cultural standards, they may incorrectly think employees are unmotivated or lacking ideas. Why does this matter? Managers must recognize their own cultural biases before working internationally. Acculturation. Acculturation is the process of adapting to a new culture. When people move to another country or work in a different cultural environment, they gradually learn local customs, communication styles, business etiquette, and social expectations. An expatriate manager working in Japan may learn how business cards are exchanged formally, how meetings are conducted, the importance of group harmony and consensus. So why does this matter? The more successful someone adapts, the more effective they become in international business relationships. Okay, so what is cross-cultural literacy? Cross-cultural literacy means understanding how cultural differences affect business behavior and communication. It involves cultural awareness, sensitivity, knowledge of traditions and values, and ability to work with diverse groups. So, a good example would be a company entering the Middle East may need to understand religious practices, negotiation styles, gender norms, and holiday schedules. This literacy helps companies avoid mistakes, build trust, improve teamwork, and negotiate successfully. So here are some review questions of what we just covered. As a recap, culture influences every aspect of international business. Successful international companies study local cultures, adapt products and communication, and train employees in cross-cultural understanding. In today's global economy, cultural intelligence is just as important as business intelligence. So thank you, everyone. I hope you all found this lecture useful. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.